Alright, so I just spent the last 3 hours watching Full Metal Alchemist with some friends, and so it's now almost 2 a.m. and I forgot to record this, but yes, today I'm here with a best character guide for Boothill. Pretty much this will be expanding upon the team section of my actual Boothill guide, sort of going over his best teammates that you can run with him and also why they're the best. I'm not saying this is definitive in any way, shape, or form. I'm not really saying one is better than the other. It's kind of obvious when one is better than the other, in what role and whatnot. But to avoid saying anything that might be wrong, I'm not saying one is going to be better than the other. I'm just going to be giving ideas and why they're really good and from what we know. And so yeah, that's all I gotta say. Before I get into the video, drop a like, drop a sub, hit the bell icon for more videos like this. Remember to join the Discord, and let's get straight into it. So just to reiterate Boothill as a character real quick, if you guys don't know, he is a character that does not actually do damage based off regular DPS wise, being crit damage, attack percent, all that kind of stuff. He's a character that mainly does his damage off break damage. A lot of innate toughness reduction, pretty much wanting to break the enemy in order to do his big damage. He's also able to implant his own weakness type, which is physical, onto enemies that don't have it, which enables him to break anyone that you are fighting. As long as they don't have the weakness bar lock, something like Bronya can do. If that isn't active, then he is able to break them. Boothill is also a character that can lock enemies into a duel, pretty much meaning you can only attack that enemy and that enemy can only attack you. With that active, you also get an enhanced basic attack. And pretty much the way you can only get out of it is if you either break the enemy's weakness, kill the enemy, or if 2 turns pass. Not only with all his break damage he can do, he also does give himself a bunch of crit rate and crit damage via a break effect. So the more break effect you have, the more crit rate and crit damage you can get, going up to 30% crit rate and 150% crit damage. So as you can see, there is pretty much next to no need to give him any sort of crit or attack, as he doesn't benefit off it too much. There is a bit of a help, but it's very minuscule and it's very much not needed. Mainly you want to focus on break effect and speed. Or break effect awards you with the maxing all the way up to 300% where you can get the max effect, and more of it will make you do more damage. Speed helps you get more turns, and more turns means you can break the enemy faster. Breaking the enemy faster, more damage output. Pretty obvious to see where that's going. And now enough about Boothill's actual kit and why he himself is so good. Let's finally start talking about his teammates. So a very obvious option which is going to be really good with Boothill is actually Ruan Mei. This is practically not surprising because Ruan Mei gives him so many benefits. Giving him weakness break efficiency, which is really good. Giving him damage increase, which is also really good. The ultimate from Ruan Mei giving him all-type res pen, so letting him break even faster is really good. And also being able to extend weakness break on enemies, letting them be broken for even longer, so you have more chances to attack them while they're still broken to get the big damage. Not only is she giving you damage dealt, not only is she giving you weakness break efficiency and all-type res pen, she's also giving you speed via her talent. And as I mentioned previously, Boothill loves speed. You want to have as much speed as you can on him. So the 10% speed that Ruan Mei provides is also extremely helpful. Not only that, when you do weakness break someone, Ruan Mei does additional break damage based off her own ice break damage. So it's even more damage you can do when you do break someone. Not only that, but Ruan Mei is also skill point positive. You only really need to use this skill once every 3 turns, which is really good. And on top of all the stuff she does give, she still does give you 20% break effect for your entire team via one of her bonus traces. So you're getting all those buffs plus a 20% break effect bonus, which is really good. As I mentioned, you want to have as much break effect as you can on your Boothill, and this gives you another 20%. So from everything that Ruan Mei provides is extremely helpful, and Ruan Mei is one of, if not the best teammate for Boothill. Another very good option, practically at the same tier of Ruan Mei, I'd say in my opinion, at least for this team, but can also be a bit tricky to use, is Bronya. So the reason I say Bronya is she also does give damage dealt increase, but mainly for the fact she gives an entire action to Boothill when you select him. The skill giving you another turn and increasing his damage is really good, allowing you to do some shenanigans where Boothill's already attacking twice in the first cycle, let's say, and now you have Bronya who's going after him, giving him another turn to attack, so you get this insane damage output. Not only that, but Bronya's ult gives crit damage to the entire team and an attack increase. Again, as I mentioned, the crit damage and attack isn't that crazy for Boothill, but I'm not saying it's completely useless. It's still kind of helpful, so it is nice to have, so you're giving it an even bigger damage boost. Not only that, Bronya's skill also has a cleanse. So let's say a great example is the current boss in MLC for the second half. When you're fighting Kafka, let's say she does her dominate and it hits your Boothill, and if it does actually land and now you are dominated, you can't really do anything with your Boothill. With Bronya's skill, you give him another turn, you dispel that debuff, and you increase his damage, he can attack again. So that dispel debuff is so overlooked upon for some reason, but it is extremely helpful in bad scenarios. Another helpful thing is that Bronya has 2 helpful traces, where one of them gives everyone 10% more damage, so that can be helpful, and another one is the 20% defense increase for 2 turns at the start of the battle. You are locking enemies into standoff, so the enemies that can only attack you, the defense increase is nice because now your Boothill will take less damage. So both those traces, along with the mainly full action turn, debuff cleanse, increased damage, all giving crit damage, giving attack percent, it is extremely powerful, and if you can manage this, Bronya becomes practically the same priority as Ruan Mei on the team. The reason I say if you can manage it is because with this team, you do need a certain sustain, and I will be talking about both of them in this video in a second. And another thing that can help is actually E1 on Bronya, giving you a 50% chance to recover one skill point, pretty much making it to where you use a skill and you save a skill point. So that can also help, but mainly for the fact there are specific sustained characters that are very, very helpful to enable this comp. Now the next character I'm going to talk about is actually one of the sustains, and that is Gallagher. So Gallagher is the prime sustain for a break team because of what he does. He does heal based off his own break effect. He does have his own unique debuff called Besotted, and that makes enemies take increased break damage. And them taking increased break damage is very good for Boothill, so Boothill will do even more damage. Not only that, but Gallagher against fire enemies can help Boothill lower the enemy's toughness, so he's able to break it, and one of them are able to break it, so you can actually do the more damage. So Gallagher is helping you a lot in that front with this Besotted debuff, with the fact he actually does damage on his ult, and being able to heal everyone. So Gallagher is practically the prime sustain for the team, and since he's a 4-star, it is a lot easier to have dupes on him, and a lot of his dupes are very helpful, such as the E2 giving a cleanse, which is extremely important. The E4 extending the Besotted state inflicted by the ultimate for a turn is really, really nice, and the E6 benefiting Gallagher himself by giving him 20% break effect and beat his break efficiency by 20% is also extremely helpful. And I did overlook the 1 here, but his E1 is also really good, giving him 20 energy right off the bat, so that's really good in something like Memory of Chaos, where you might not start with the ultimate, and 50% effect res, which is also really, really good. So the reason Gallagher is a prime sustain for this, especially if you are running the Bronya comp, is when you are running the Bronya comp, you might run into issues with skill points, as I mentioned, and with Gallagher, you can build him as a very, very fast sustain, and by doing that, you have a character that is going to be healing you and also generating SP. With him generating skill points, if you are smart with it, you will not run out of skill points, so you can continuously use the Bronya skill on your Boothill to dish out as much damage as possible. The Abundance also has a light cone that is a 3-star called Multiplication, which is really, really good for skill point positive characters that want to be built fast in these kind of scenarios. Gallagher is one of them, and you can use it, using a basic attack giving you an action forward just to gen more SP for when you can. This light cone actually becomes really, really, really helpful. So Gallagher, with that build or whatever you do with high speed, is extremely helpful, provides enough sustain, helps you lower enemies' toughness, does pretty good damage on his own, and again, really good sustain, generating SP so you can keep using Bronya if you are using Bronya on that team. Very, very, very good. And now another fantastic character is actually the free-to-play Harmony Trailblazer. The Harmony Trailblazer actually does have this thing called Super Break, and what that is when you are attacking someone that is in the weakness broken state, the toughness reduction of the attack will be converted into 1 instance of Super Break damage. So pretty much this is going to be taking the damage you do against a weakness broke target and converting that instance into Super Break, which is extremely powerful. Running a team of something like Boothill, Ruan Mei, Harmony Trailblazer, and Sustain is extremely powerful. You can do so much damage to bosses. You don't have as much output as running someone like Bronya, but you do a lot more damage. It's extremely easy to also have uptime on the ultimate that provides the backup dancer effect. And since the Harmony Trailblazer is free and you can go up to E5 currently, the E4 Eidolon actually gives your entire team, excluding the Trailblazer, break effect by an amount equal to 15% of the Trailblazer's own break effect. So you're giving everyone on your team, which means including Boothill, besides the Harmony Trailblazer, more break effect, and again, as I mentioned, more break effect, the better. So Harmony Trailblazer is a fantastic option, giving break effect, turning its stuff into super break, which again, skyrockets damage. The ultimate also giving more break effect, and everything that is being provided by the Harmony Trailblazer for your Boothill is extremely beneficial. You can practically turn your Boothill into a one-shot demon. And now, shying away from a little more on the optimal side, these options are still very good, but the other options are mainly better. And the first option for this part I'm going to talk about will be Pela. So as I mentioned, Boothill's main damage is going to be coming from his break, and how crit rate, crit damage, or just attack stats like that aren't break isn't super beneficial. What is super beneficial for Boothill is ignoring defense, and stuff like vulnerability, reducing the enemy's defense. He can still benefit a ton from that. And so Pela is really good with the ultimate inflicting exposed, which reduces enemies' defense by 40% for 2 turns. So having that on your enemies is extremely good, because now when Boothill attacks, he's going to be attacking enemies that have a 40% defense lower, which is going to increase his damage output significantly. And on that same front is also Silverwolf, practically for the same reasons of what I mentioned about Pela, mainly the fact she's able to also make enemies take more damage by lowering their defense. Silverwolf also enables this finicky thing where if you do run 4-piece Quantum on Boothill, with Silverwolf on the team, if an enemy isn't weak to Quantum, if you use the skill, there is a chance that they can be inflicted with the Quantum weakness, making the 4-piece Quantum really, really good because of the full defense and ignore you can have. the chance to have defense ignore from the talent, and the ultimate from Silverwolf making enemies defense lower by 45% for 3 turns is extremely good. And so just like the other instance with Pela, the lower on the defense is extremely helpful. And now the final character I want to talk about for the main portion of this video will be Luocha. Pretty much the things I said about Gallagher apply to Luocha, besides having a completely different kit. By this I mean obviously Luocha isn't a break-based healer, he is his own general healer. He's extremely skill point positive, you practically never have to use a skill, and he's able to provide his field, making when anyone does damage, they'll be able to heal, so you don't have to worry about using a skill or anything. And Luocha is another character to generate skill points by just giving him the multiplication light cone, and with that you're able to use basic attacks a lot because for the most part Luocha always uses basic attacks, so turning him into a skill point genning character while also being a sustain is really good because his innate sustain is already really good. So giving him the multiplication light cone is a very good idea because now every time you do use the basic attack he gets an action forward, being able to do more, getting more skill points, enabling the Broniak comp. And yeah, that is practically it for the video. This is mainly highlighting the best options and some of the other better options, obviously not the most optimal options, but are still really good options sort of video. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. Let me know if you did. Let me know what kind of teams you are running because I have seen some stuff where people use them with Robin. Some people, which was me included before, running him with Sparkle. And I'm not saying they're bad options. Anyone not listed in this video, just because I didn't mention someone like Fushuan or Sparkle or Asta or Robin or anything, I'm not saying they're bad options, I'm just saying they're not as optimal as these options you can do. Like me personally, I still use Fushuan with Boothill, but obviously she's not going to be anywhere near as optimal as running someone like Gallagher or an SP genning Luocha. And so yeah, again, that's been the video. Hope you guys found the video helpful. Peace out.